in this edition of the Mike On Podcast.
Not the first or the second. Yet again, President Bola Tinubu's certificate controversy has found its way back into mainstream news. The legal battle stems from a request to Chicago State University by the former vice president and the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the 2023 election, Atiku Abubakar. He requested various documents, including records of President Tinubu's enrollment and admission at the university. This request also covers details about Tinubu's attendance date, degrees, awards, and honors he may have acquired. The former vice president said the files will settle the controversy surrounding Tinubu's academic background and aid the election petition tribunal. With elements of intrigue, controversy, and legal complexities taking center stage, will this unfolding situation swing power in Nigerian democracy? Join the conversation as Seun Okinbaloye seeks answers on this episode of Mike On Podcast.
The 60% of Us series.
And we're back again on the Mike On Podcast. Hello and welcome. I'm Seun Okinbaloye. The mic is on and it can be passed on to you at any time. So be ready. Welcome tonight, because we're going to be having some conversations around a very major controversies which are taking a former vice president to the courtroom. But let me begin by saying, how's your weekend going? Well, for me, it's hard to keep my eyes off these developing political stories despite being on a short leave from my everyday show on Politics Today on Channels Television and the Sunday Politics on Channels TV. It's one day, one drama in the world of politics. You blink, you miss it. What do you make of the new case involving a former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, and the Chicago State University in respect of President Bola Tinubu's certificate? And what are the facts of the matter? What are the new developments that we know? Today on the show, we will have the benefit of getting legal dynamics of this case. But first, let me give you an idea of some of the issues that have emerged that we know as of now on this matter when it comes to what Mr. Atiku Abubakar had gone to court to do. So we can tell you from what we know that President Tinubu's documents submitted to INEC, there are a lot of people who have poked holes in the authenticity, and there are issues that have been raised, including conflicting birth years. Some saying 1952, some saying 1954, contradictions about education and the removal of primary and secondary school records. These are some of the issues that a lot of people are talking about. Also, on the 11th of July, PDP's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar initiated a legal action to obtain information about Tinubu's academic records at the Chicago State University. Atiku's legal team requested documents pertaining to Tinubu's admission, attendance, degrees, awards, and honors obtained during his time at the university. The petition emphasized a subpoena aimed to validate the authenticity of his claims and establish the truth amidst ongoing disputes about his election and academic history. Well, also, some of the issues that have been generated include that the President Tinubu's legal team has since responded to the legal action taken by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And they have responded to say, by the move of filing a motion to dismiss the subpoena, arguing that the petition lacked the necessary court authorization and provided inadequate time for compliance, violating the Illinois Supreme Court rules. The legal process took a twist as errors were admitted in Tinubu's academic documents. It was said a clerical error was responsible for the discrepancies on the certificate issued to Bola Tinubu by the Chicago State University. Tinubu's lawyers have argued that an unidentified clerk of the university made the error about the date the school stated on his recently issued certificate, thereby creating the appearance of differences. Unfortunately, according to them, in responding to the illegal and invalid subpoena, the CSU made several errors the president's lawyer have highlighted. The Chicago State University issued a new diploma for Bola Tinubu, but incorrectly wrote the date of graduation at the 27th of June, 1979. Well, they say that the correct date was June 22, 1979, but that the error, along with the change in the CSU logo, the font on the diploma, and the leadership of the CSU who signed the diploma, created the appearance of differences between an earlier issued diploma and the one issued in response to the 2022 subpoena. Well, we understand and we're seeing from what is going on, the legal battle or the legal tussle which Mr. Atiku Abubakar has raised, there might be an inclination of wanting to sway what is happening in the court in Nigeria. So the battle is not only here in Nigeria, in the courtroom. They've taken the battle outside of Nigeria to the United States to see whether or not those scenarios is playing out can affect the judgment of the tribunal. Even if it does not affect the tribunal, maybe it will affect the appeal at the Supreme Court in case it does not go in any of their ways. So these are the issues that have been thrown up. But there was one man who had taken his time to go to Chicago by himself, and recently he's gotten into the news and he's been speaking about it. He's a former presidential aide to former President Goodluck Jonathan, and an author. He joins us. He's equally a lawyer, Mr. Reno Omokri, who joins us live virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Omokri, for joining us today. Thank you so much indeed. You're done in. You're looking like a Yoruba man from what you're wearing this evening. How are you, though?
Hello, Sheon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I can't hear you very clearly, Sheon.
Oh, really?
Hear you very clearly.
But what about now? Can you hear me now?
It's really muffled. I can't hear you. I sent you some messages on the chat stuff. It's really muffled.
Okay, so if you give me some moment, we'll be able to resolve some of these issues so that you can hear me clearly and we can have the communication as seamless.
Okay. I can hear you better now.
Oh, fantastic. So that's better. That's good. So I was making just a view from your attire. You're looking all Nigerian, looking like a Yoruba man. Interesting. I saw that you were in Nigeria, but you since left, isn't it? But
yes.
Yeah, interesting. So let's get to it. I see that you came back talking about this Chicago State University matter. Now, Atiku Abubakar, in whom you supported for the 2023 presidential election, is gone to the courtroom, not only here in Nigeria, but in the United States. How much of that do you know? I know you are in good communication with Mr. Atiku Abubakar. What do you know? What is going on the minds of Mr. Atiku Abubakar in this respect?
Well, here's the thing. I fully support Waziri Atiku Abubakar. I believe in him, and he has a game plan. He has a game plan, and I think the game plan is going to unfold in the coming days, in the coming weeks. And whatever I'm saying publicly, I mean, it's not meant to contradict him, or it's not meant to show that maybe I don't support him. I support him fully in what he's doing. And, in the coming weeks, like I said, Nigerians are going to understand why he's doing what he's doing.
Okay, fantastic. So there are those who think that what Mr. Atiku Abubakar is doing is maybe a moral swaying of Nigerian courts from whatever the U.S. court might say about Mr. Tinubu'S academic records. Do you think so?
Well, I mean, I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all, because there is the possibility that this case is going to exceed the Presidential Election Petition Court. So it's better that before it gets to the Supreme Court, all other ancillary matters are gathered together, so that if there are any evidentiary proofs to be made, you have them to hand. You're not just waiting for maybe it gets to the Supreme Court and then it starts scrambling in the American court.
So it looks to me, if you can also tell us, that Mr. Atiku Abubakar is very optimistic about what could come out of these legal tussle on the 2023 presidential election? Is it?
Mr. Abubakar, or rather Waziri Atiku Abubakar, is quite optimistic. I mean, I've spoken to him, and I speak to him regularly, and he's somebody that he's very approachable, and he has, like I told you at the beginning of this conversation, he has a game plan. He's not just will I say, snatching figures from the air. He knows what he's doing, and I urge Nigerians to be patient. In the coming weeks, they're going to see what he's doing materialize.
Well, interesting. So when we want that, because it looks out here in Nigeria on the street that there seems to be more steam with the obedient who think that they have more chances at the tribunal than the Atiku camp. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, a lot of these obedience are the same people that believe that President Muhammadu Buhari died and had been replaced by a clone named Jibril from Sudan. So I'm not going to place much store by what a bunch of people who have that kind of delusionary belief think. I mean, if you look at them, they are saying that Peter Obi is going to reclaim his mandate. If you study Peter Obi's petition, Peter Obi is not even claiming that he won the election. He's not even claiming that he won the election. So there is really a dissonance between what Peter Obi is claiming in court and what his, when I say obedience, his supporters are, proclaiming on social media. What Peter Obi said is that Bola Tinubu is started bad because of the case in Chicago involving white heroin, and that the vice president, Kashim Shettima, is also started bad for double nomination, and that also the two of them, that even if they were not started bad, their election is void because they didn't get 25% in the Federal Capital Territory. The man has not said that he won or that he was cheated out of winning. So, I mean, it's very, very silly. I mean, their case, I mean, to me, it's very obvious what's going to happen. Their case is just going to be thrown out of court. This is just between Waziri Atiku Abubakar and President Bola Tinubu.
Interesting. So, give us an understanding of what I mean. So, okay, if I, from your own point of view, you're a lawyer, so I know. You think Mr. Peter Obi has a chance in this tribunal or at the Supreme Court, whichever the case may be?
Peter Obi does not have any chance, and I'm going to just break it down for you. I mean, I'm looking at this objectively as a person with a legal background and coming from a family with a legal background. My father was the Court of Appeal Justice who restored Peter Obi's mandate to him in Anambra. So I do have some background to this. Peter Obi did not have the national spread. He could not have won the election. He came third. So there is no basis for him, and he's not even claiming in his petition that he won the election. He's not claiming that he won, that he should be proclaimed the winner. What he's asking for, and which is very unlikely to get, is that the election should be cancelled and that there should be a rerun. So if you look at his own case is hopeless. Waziri Atiku Abubakar has a more hopeful case, and that we hope that the judges are going to look at it on the merit, and that we're expecting a very reasonable verdict.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about not having spread, that those who will say, oh, Atiku Abubakar does not have a spread too. His case, in fact, his figures are very similar. His chances or the outcome of the election, if you look at Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar, are very, very similar.
No, that's not accurate. I mean, I deal in facts. If you look at the election result, Peter Obi had clusters. He had clusters. Atiku Abubakar had spread. So Peter Obi had, if you look at Peter Obi's votes, he got something like about 88%, more than 88%, something, let's just say 88% of the votes in the southeast. In a state like Anambra, he got, I believe, 98.7% in Anambra. Now, if you start going out to states that are tangential to the southeast, he also got very high votes, like in Benue, states like that. But then, Mr. Peter Obi did not win a single state that is dominated by Muslims. If you look at southern Nigeria, he won in Lagos. But other than that, where did he make a showing? I mean, on the contrary, we're not talking about. I'm not saying that Waziri Atiku Abubakar won in all of these states. What I'm saying is that he got the required 25% in more states than someone like Peter Obi.
Let's get to the Chicago matter. So, what do you make of Atiku Abubakar's reason of going to the U.S. court over this matter?
I'm not going to comment on that. What I will just say is that I went to Chicago personally. I went to Chicago State University personally. And I mean, I went there, I went to their registrar, and I can say for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that President Bola Tinubu did attend Chicago State University. Now, there are some people who are saying that, the person who attended was a female. I mean, when you start to follow some of all of these things that you see on social media, some of so-called evidentiary things, obviously you're going to be misled. The person who attended Chicago State University was a male, and the photograph that they showed me is the same person as the current president of Nigeria. And if you look at the letter that they gave me, obviously you see the pronouns there. They said it there. You can read the pronouns that he, H-E, he, not she, he attended our school and he graduated with honors. So, I mean, even during the election, I told members of my party, I said, listen, I will fight Bola Tinubu on certain points which I believe I do not agree with him, especially the case in Chicago that involved the white heroin and all of that. But on the issue of him going to Chicago State University, he did go to Chicago State University. And if you recall, I was on Arise Television on Tuesday, November 22nd, and then one of their journalists actually he lied on air that Bola Tinubu did not go to Chicago State University, and that somebody, I think a group of people had sent a subpoena, a lawyer had sent a subpoena to Chicago State University, and that they denied his academic records. And I said, look, that is a lie. You know, first and foremost, I think the person who made that was Mr. Rufai Hussaini. I mean, he lied. I mean, it's been proven that he lied, because right now Chicago State University has deposed to a document, sworn document in court, saying that Bola Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, did attend Chicago State University. You know, so I mean, that's why I've said that, you know, Mr. Rufai Hussaini, who made that false allegation that somebody subpoenaed Chicago State University and they denied Bola Tinubu's academic credentials, I challenged him. For days now, I challenged him. I said, okay, publish the subpoena, and he's not been able to publish the subpoena. So Bola Tinubu attended Chicago State University. If you notice, you know, I protested against him at Chatham House. I protested against him at several places. I said things about him, but I never went to the matter of him attending Chicago State University, because I know for a fact, and I knew for a fact, that he did.
So, I mean, I reckon that your conversation with Rufai Hussaini on Arise TV, perhaps the young man was just doing his job and was posing questions to you as to what he felt and what was reported at the time, and the issues that were raised, the legal issues that were raised at the time, and portion of what he was telling you at the time. Maybe you can clarify and let Nigerians know on your position. What you were saying perhaps were totally different from what was being reported at the time.
What Mr. Rufai said is that a lawyer had gone to court and had gotten a subpoena, and that subpoenaed Chicago State University, and that based on that subpoena, Chicago State University had denied Bola Tinubu's academic credentials. Basically, I mean, if a school denies that your degree, that means that you didn't attend there. That was not what was published in the papers. No, that's not true. It wasn't published. There was nothing like that. This was a lie told by Rufai Hussaini, and I said it there in writing. I've said it on social media. It's an open challenge to him. I said, first and foremost, I gave 7 questions. I said, Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, did he or did he not give you, Rufai Hussaini, money? Did he not, or did he not give you money in cash and through electronic means, whether directly or with a third party? I said, look, I already know the answers to these questions, but I'm putting it to you, Rufai Hussaini and Peter Obi, come out and then declare to Nigerians whether or not, and they've not been able to respond to me, because Mr. Rufai Hussaini lied. There was nothing like that. He wasn't, he lied. And when a journalist has been compromised by a politician, then at least the public should know.
No,
Because when you start
but when you
telling
make an
lies to the
allegation,
public,
Mr. Omokri, when you make an allegation, a sweeping one at that, about a journalist who was doing his job, you're making an allegation that he collected money from a politician. I don't know if you have evidence of that, because perhaps you do not agree with him. Maybe you are making all of these allegations. It's quite going to be unfair if you're making this kind of allegation against someone who is doing his constitutional duties as a professional.
well, that's the thing there is that what I'm saying here, I mean, obviously you can take me to court. When you as a journalist pass off lies and political propaganda as news, then that is no longer journalism. In the United States, you've seen the Mueller probe, you've seen the Steele dossier probe, you've seen the Hunter Biden probe, whereby charges have been brought against people who went on the media and lied to the American public just before an election about things that they said were true, which were not true. So this is the same scenario that we're in. This young man went on air and lied. He lied. So there's a difference now. You, you read the news, you say, okay, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. But by the time, if you go on air and say, and tell a lie, and then pass on that lie to Nigerians, 220 million people who are watching and believing that the lie that you are saying is news, then that is not covered. He can sue it to court. Rufai Oseni is alive. Peter Obi, they are alive. I asked a question. Did, whether or not Peter Obi gave him cash or money in via electronic...
Do you have evidence on that? Those are sweeping allegations, Mr. Omokri, against a journalist. Do you have evidence to that effect? If you do not, I think we should just move on from personal attacks and just move straight to the issues. You can't say he collected money from Peter Obi when you do not have evidence to that effect.
Can I respond to that?
Please go ahead.
Yes, I haven't made an allegation. I asked a question and I have evidence at my disposal, but I'm not going to bring that evidence. I mean, it's a challenge. Let them respond to me or let them take me to court. I didn't say that he collected money. I'm challenging him and Peter Obi, and I asked the question. I said, did he or did he not collect money in form of cash or via electronic means from Peter Obi? And did that now influence the kind of reportage that he was reporting during the Nigerian elections, before and during the Nigerian elections? Because if you are passing off lies to the public and claiming that those lies are news, then obviously that is no longer journalism. You are breaching the ethics of journalism.
Let's move away from that, because I mean that is Rufai Oseni is not here, and I wouldn't want us to be having conversation in that respect that we cannot lay claims to, and the young man is not here to defend himself. So let's leave that aside and move into the, if you disagree with him on the matter that he was posing questions at, those are issues on one hand. But let me ask you, Mr. Omokri, are you still with me?
I'm with you. I'm a very good listener.
Fantastic. No, fantastic. So there is a response from the Bola Tinubu'S camp, and they've asked the Chicago University not to release its academic credentials to the candidate of the PDP. As a lawyer, what's your view on that?
Well, I mean, it's very clear what's happening. You know, in the United States, there is a right to privacy, and also in Nigeria, you know, your academic records, you have a right to privacy for your academic records. And so a lot of people will hear what you've just said, and it might sound confusing to them. The Chicago State University has actually deposed to an affidavit saying that Bola Tinubu, the current president of Nigeria, did in fact attend Chicago State University. Now, what they're saying is that if the court issues an order ordering them to release his academic credentials and to release his academic record to the court, they will do that. But that they are not going to do that because Bola Tinubu has told them that he doesn't want them to release his academic credentials and his academic records to the the petitioner in this regard. Now, you got to understand that is they are not saying that Bola Tinubu did not attend their university. So when you talk about academic records, they are talking about things like transcripts. They are talking about things like attendance records. They are talking about things like the kinds of grades that you got. So that's what they're talking about. And, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, if the court gives the order, then we're going to see all of that. But on the fact of whether or not Bola Tinubu attended Chicago State University, Bola Tinubu attended Chicago State University. The male Bola Tinubu, the person who is now president of Nigeria, did attend Chicago State University.
So, but if this is your position and your very good friend, the man you supported, is going ahead to challenge what you know, are you able to tell the Atiku camp to say, I know this, I confirm this, why go to court? This is information that you have. Have you been able to share that kind of information with them?
Well, you know, this man is my personal friend, Waziri Atiku Abubakar. And I will not come on air and begin to betray confidences of a friend. You know, so, I mean, let's just leave that aside. What I will say, however, is that Bola Tinubu, the current president of Nigeria, the former governor of Lagos State, the husband of Oluremi Tinubu, a former senator of Nigeria, did in fact attend Chicago State University. It's unequivocal. There is no doubt about it. I went there physically. I wanted to expose him. I wanted to expose the fact that he did not attend. I was going to do a big expose. But when I went there, the registry of the Chicago State University undeceived me. And not only did he attend, he attended and graduated with honors, and he is a worthy alumni. And the man, if you go to the school, for instance, now, if you go to the school, you know, there is like, let's say like a yearbook of the alumni. The man's photo is there.
So, there are several issues that have been raised, and let me pose some of these questions to you. On one hand is whether or not Bola Tinubu attended Chicago State University. You said you have confirmed, and they told you, they released a document to you to that effect. On another hand, there are those who feel that there is a certain Bola who is a lady. That is it. Bola Tinubu's original name isn't Bola, but is another person's name. These are some of the things that people say, and these are some of those who hold the school of thought about the personality of Bola Tinubu. And you said you found out that the person who holds that certificate is a man at the time. Not even in a complex America. I mean, the situation in America now is not the same at that time. So you have confirmed that there is no lady or a woman who Bola Tinubu took the name from. Is that what he's saying?
I did a video, you know, because I had been in Peru. I was mountain climbing in Peru when Arise TV had contacted me. So I was in the mountains, so I didn't have internet. So by the time I got down from the mountain, Machu Picchu, I went to a town called Cusco. I was able to get internet. And then I did that interview. After that, while I was doing that interview, Rufai Oseni challenged me to mention the person I met and what the documents I was given. So after the interview, I did a video. In that video, I showed the document that I was given by Chicago State University. I listed the name of the people that I met at Chicago State University. I gave the email address of the registry of Chicago State University. I gave the phone number. So any journalist, including yourself, Sheung, or any other journalist or any interested Nigerian can go and watch that video and contact Chicago State University on the email address, on the phone number, and ask them these questions. What they told me and the evidence that they gave me, which is documentary and includes pictorial evidence, is that the person who attended Chicago State University and graduated in 1979 with a honors degree in accounting is a male, a man, M-A-N, man, M-A-L-E, male, not a woman, not a female, and that person at that time was the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, and right now that person is the president of Nigeria, the man at Aso Rock. So that a female went to, and let me just say to Nigerians should realize that social media is not a court. Social media, there are things there are conspiracy theories in social media. I have been maligned on social media. I mean, even you, Shehu, you've been maligned on social media. Anybody can just go on social media, I mean, put together some documents and I say that it is evidence. What you see on social media should not sway you. Bola Tinubu, the man who we are seeing in the villa, did attend Chicago State University.
Okay, so these are some of what Atiku Abubakar is the contention in this matter. He is saying that the man who was nominated as APC candidate has no educational history. He has no primary school, no secondary school, or university classmates. Are you able to identify that too?
Well, one of the things that you have to understand is that if you go to a court and then you try to bring out things, extraneous things, the court will tell you, look, I can't listen to that. What we can only listen to are facts and matters that are before us. So if you look at his INEC form, in his INEC form, Bola Tinubu declared Chicago State University. So on other issues like primary school, secondary school, I cannot comment on that, and I'm not going to comment on that.
So in the area of the university classmates, there are definitely, you talked about having a class. Let me land.
Go ahead. Let me land. So I cannot talk about the primary school. I did not go to his primary school. I didn't investigate that. I can't talk about the secondary school. But on the matter of Chicago State University, Bola Tinubu attended. I have names of his classmates, people who attended, American citizens that I contacted. Bola Tinubu did attend Chicago State University. Now, I'm going to give a very good example. Peter Obi, one of the people who is challenging his election in court, he claimed that he attended the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and he graduated with a second-class lower degree in philosophy. But if you look at his INEC form, he only declared on that INEC form a WAEC certificate. So are we now going to say on the basis of that because he declared only WAEC certificate, he did not go to UNN? No, he did go to UNN, but you are going to limit yourself to what he declared to INEC. The reason I went to Chicago is because Bola Tinubu declared Chicago, his degree, the BSc honors, on his INEC form, and I went to Chicago. A lot of these people, including Rufai Hosseini, including some other persons, including some of these people that are floating conspiracy theories on social media that the Bola Tinubu that went was a female, they didn't go to Chicago State University. I went. And I've given the phone number. If you want, I can also give the phone number of Chicago State University's registry and their email address. I can give it on this program. Nigerians should take what Chicago State University said. That is the horse's mouth. They should stop listening to conspiracy theories.
So you talked about a class book.
Yearbook.
The yearbook. Yeah, the yearbook. Yeah, from the university. Did you cite it?
I saw it with my own eyes.
And you saw Bola Tinubu. You saw Bola Tinubu, a younger Bola Tinubu, in that yearbook.
Yes, it is there. But it is there. If you go to Chicago State University, they will show it to you too. It is not a secret. It is not a secret. It is there. They display it. They are proud of it. Look, let me tell you something. The school, to my biggest surprise, I believe that Bola Tinubu has even donated money to them after he graduated. They are very, very proud of the man. They use the man, let me use some Nigerian lingo. They use the man to flex. Chicago State University, they are using him to flex. So, I mean, if you want to discuss some other issues, why some people are doing this and that, you might have to invite them to your program. But on the issue of whether or not Bola Tinubu attended Chicago State University, he did. The male Bola Tinubu, the man who is at the villa, the former governor of Lagos State, the former senator, the husband of Oluremi Tinubu, he attended Chicago State University. Okay,
so there is another side to this conversation which a lot of people have raised. What about, did you ask for the record? Because one of the contention is the age and the discrepancy in the age. 52, 58. Did you find out? Did you find anything out in terms of his age when he was in Chicago and now?
No. The school, what they told me is that they cannot give out his personal records, his academic records. And you've got to understand, I also schooled abroad. I schooled in England. If you go to the University of Wolverhampton that I attended, if you go to the primary school I attended in California, and then if you ask them to give you my records, they're not going to give it to you. If you ask them whether or not I attended, then they can give you that information, whether or not I attended. But if you begin to ask for particulars like my date of birth, like my attendance record, like my transcripts, and whether I had any disciplinary issues, what age documents I tendered, they're not going to give it to you. You know, because if they give it to you, those are there are laws, there are privacy laws in the United Kingdom and the United States. So they didn't give me that information. I tried to get information. You know, I flirted with one of the persons I met there. They did not give me that information. They just told me, this man, he attended, and you look at this yearbook. That is the photo of the man. He attended our institution.
I'm reading a lot of messages now. Do you know what some people are saying about you right now in the manner in which they think you're supporting Bola Tinubu? They think you are being paid to do this, to speak in favor of Bola Tinubu.
People are going to say that. You know, I don't care if people are saying that. But what I can just say there is this, is that if I have collected even one kobo, one dime from Bola Tinubu, then let my maker deal with me and let me never progress. I've not collected a dime. I've not collected a kobo from him. I protested against Bola Tinubu at Chatham House. Go and look at what I said. What I told members of my party is that as long as it is true, I am going to go after Bola Tinubu with the truth. But I am not going to lie, and which was my issue with, what's his name now, Rufai Oseni. The man told several lies. And it was just on the basis of that.
You kept going to Rufai Oseni, but I thought that is your cousin, because I thought I saw a video where it says is your cousin. You kept going back to him. It seems you have a personal thing about Rufai Oseni.
Wait,
what is it?
He said he's my cousin. Okay, please, let me address that, because you are not the first person to have also told me. Several people. He did a video. He actually did a video. In that video, he alleged that he's my cousin. Rufai Oseni is not my cousin. He did a video, and that's what I said. In fact, maybe his parents should have named him Iro Labi, because the man, he just lies so much. Rufai Oseni is not my cousin. Yet, Rufai Oseni is a half brother to, would I say, some people who are relatives of mine. So if he had been the same father with them, he would have been a distant relative of mine. But he's only a half brother to them. I believe that he shares a mother with them, and he's not related to me in any way, shape, or form. However, his half siblings are related to me. They are distant relatives. You have to understand one thing. I'm Ishakiri. And Ishakiris they are not much in number. I think we are about maybe 200,000, even if that. So all Ishakiris tend to be, what's what I'm looking for? We tend to be related, sort of, you know. So his half siblings, they are distant relatives. I believe that my mother was a kind of benefactor to them. My mother got his sister a job. The sister lived with my mother, and even the Rufai was himself. You know, he used to come. Because, you know, obviously, if the half siblings are coming on holidays, we can't say that, okay, you should not come. So he would come with them. You know, he would come to my parents' house. My parents would take. I'm not happy saying all of these things.
But it looks like a family problem, which I thought that because you mentioned Rufai Oseni's name severally, and I'm not very comfortable with it. I mean, this interview is about Chicago, Bola Tinubu, and Atiku Abubakar.
No. So, hang on, please. I need to say this. I only mentioned Rufai Oseni's name in the context of the lie he told during that interview. I did not mention his name in the context of other things, because he apologized to me in the presence of Mr. Unduka Obagbena, the proprietor of Arise Television. And I told him, I said, I forgive you. And if you look at it, I did a tweet saying that Rufai Husseini has apologized to me privately, and I've accepted his apology, and I move on. However, immediately after he apologized to me, he left the studio and then called my brother and began to threaten me. And then my brother recorded the conversation. He threatened me. He said he was going to kill me. He was going to destroy me. He was going to take me out. So all of this, my brother now recorded all the conversation, and then my brother sent it to me. So when my brother sent it to me, I now called Mr. Onduka Obagbena, and I said, look, this is the man that you made apologize to me. He apologized to me. He begged me, and I told him I forgave him. Immediately after he apologized, he left your studio to go and call me, and I played the recording from Mr. Onduka Obagbena. I said that, how can I now? That was why I now said, okay, well, that means that his apology was not genuine. But in this interview, the only reason why I brought him up is because he, in the course of the interview with Arise TV, he lied. And based on that lie, a lot of Nigerians believe that lie because they considered it news. And when, for instance, he gave that lie on Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. This was 3 months before the election. Obviously, if you are watching Arise and you hear that Bola Tinubu did not go to Chicago State University and Chicago State University denied him, that means you are going to believe he is dishonest and you are unlikely to vote for him. That is called election interference. That is the only reason why I brought up his name.
So, but let's wrap up now, because I've basically asked you about what you know about Mr. Bola Tinubu and Chicago State University and the certificate. But there are those who also will argue that if you look at what Chicago State University has put out there and what is submitted to INEC, there seems to be some differences. Have you noted that?
That is not true. Chicago State University has not put anything out there. And this is what I'm saying, that Nigerians should stop relying on social media. Chicago State University has not put anything out there. The only thing that they said in a sworn deposition in court is that Bola Tinubu, the current, and I'm quoting them, the current president of Nigeria, attended our school, Chicago State University, and graduated with honors in 1979. Full stop. In Hausa, they will say, Chikena. They have not revealed anything about his records, about his age, about his gender, about his height, or anything else. All they just said is that we confirm that this man attended our university. He graduated in 1979 with honors. Full stop. If you want to see his academic record, we are not going to give it to you. But if the court gives us an order, then we will comply with that order and release those documents.
Interesting. So before I allow you to go, where do you see these? Because this doesn't look like it's going to go anytime soon. Should Mr. Atiku Abubakar get his answer from the United States, from the courtroom, where do you see this going?
Well, like I said before, Waziri Atiku Abubakar is a man that enjoys my confidence. I believe in him. I have every confidence in him. He knows what he is doing. And Nigerians should be patient. In the fullness of time, what he is doing will come to light. All I can say on this matter is that Bola Tinubu, the current president of Nigeria, male, former senator, former governor, husband of Oluremi Tinubu, attended Chicago State University. Now, whether or not he went to primary school or he went to secondary school, I'm not competent to comment on that matter. But on the fact that he attended Chicago State University, I went there. If you want, I will give you video evidence, documentary evidence, and also give you contact details to the school. The man attended Chicago State University.
All right. Mr. Reno Omokri, an author and former presidential aide to former President Goodluck Jonathan, thank you so much indeed for talking to us on this podcast today.
God bless you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much indeed. I'd like to bring in a very experienced lawyer, Mr. Liberos Oshoma, who has since joined us. Thank you so much, Mr. Oshoma. I've been reading a lot of comments from quite a number of people, which before I get your professional view about what is going on in the United States and how that might affect what is going on in Nigeria, let me get to hear from a few people on Twitter Spaces. and let's get your view. I like it to be very sharp and straight to the point. 30 seconds, if you may. Let me begin with those whom I've seen their hands up and whom their mics are going to be open right now. Let me begin with Ogbeni Dikpo, Dr. Dikpo Awojide. What is your own view of what is happening at the moment in respect of Bola Tinubu's academic record and what Atiku Abubakar is doing in the U.S.?
Good evening, Mr. Sheung. Hi, Reno. So I think this issue is just like the Buhari is from Sudan or from Mali or from whatever issue. It has now obviously become a non-issue. The university has said that Bola Ahmed Tinubu graduated from Chicago State University. Reno, who is an opposition voice, has gone there himself to verify, and he's saying that, and he has said this repeatedly, there is a yearbook with Bola Ahmed's picture in it. So this issue should just be let's just forget about this issue and move on to other important issues. We have a lot of very important issues across the country that we need to deal with. Second point is for Reno. Actually, Reno has made a claim that Rufai took money from Peter Obi. That is a very, very huge claim, and I would say to the journalist at Arise TV, Mr. Rufai, that he has to refute this allegation and potentially, sue Reno for this claim. I am all for biases. I am all for having political differences. But when we make certain claims, we should be able to back up those claims. Defamation and libel definitely should not be part of our politics. I don't know what the truth is, but this claim is a very huge one. Thank you, Mr. Sheung.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me bring in Dos Santos. That is what his name is on Twitter, at Michelson Dos Santos. Your mic is on. 30 seconds. Go straight to the point. Let's get your view.
All right. Thank you so much. Greetings to all Nigerians. Yeah. For me, I will allow the courts to do their job, and I have issues when Mr. Reno said, he went to Chicago. Chicago said that Bola Ahmed Tinubu attended Chicago State University. I think maybe he must have not seen I think he should go ahead and read what Mr. Caleb Westberg wrote to Mr. Enahoro Eba, that is the Chicago lawyer, because Mr. Enahoro Eba subpoenaed that is Chicago University registrar about Tinubu's documents. My issue is why is it that we have different grammatical error, font size, language, date of birth change? In Nigeria, you cannot tell me that after 44 years, that's when Tinubu realized that they made a mistake in his age. I have a friend. She wrote common entrance then when she was a baby then, primary 6 then. She wrote common entrance because her name was that long, okay? Like, for instance, Olubukola. The teacher told her to shorten it because it's long. She wrote Bukola. And in her birth certificate, it was Olubukola. All her documents, educational document, was Bukola. But when she wanted to apply for a visa, immigration consultant told her that because your birth certificate is Olubukola, this birth certificate and what is in your document is not yours. That except she goes to meet a lawyer to get a notary confirmation that the owner of this birth certificate is the owner of the documents. Why, after 44 years, why is it that all of a sudden Tinubu is saying that CSU made a mistake? That's the issue we need to find out ourselves.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. Let's get another person talking. Let's get Omar Naija at Omar Naija on Twitter space. Your mic is on. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Shion. Yeah, it's Omo Niger. So my own questions, I have two questions. One for the lawyer. The first is it possible for an institution to actually, for an action to actually be taken against the institution of Arise TV or Mr. Rufai for what Mr. Reno has classified as electoral interference? And two is it possible?
Hello?
Presidential candidates,
Okay.
so that we'll get make the truth come out. Somebody should sue somebody, then let's know the truth.
Thank you so much, Omananja. Let's get another person quickly. We have Mr. Oshoma, who will break it down for us, give us the legal perspectives, and we might be able to get some other side to this matter tonight. Honorable Real One at Real1_Ola01 on Twitter. Your mic is on. Let's get your voice.
Okay, thank you, Sheon. Thank you. Good evening, Nigeria. I think I've already had this issue with Ren over the time, and I think these lies at this point need to stop. I am saying this now with full authority that is not speaking for Waziri Adamawa. And also, I'm saying this with full authority and with every information and contact that everything he has been saying, he's saying it basically because of where he belongs. In this life, it's just like a football player. When you sign a deal for a club for 4 years, immediately the 4 years finished, you can actually move to that club, which is what he has actually displayed. And it's within his rights to actually do that. But my own problem is bringing Atiku and, making it look like he's speaking on behalf of Atiku. On one hand, you are claiming that we don't have a case, so to say. But on the other hand, Tinubu himself already put up many lawyers to actually stop Atiku from, accessing his details. Why can't you just calm yourself and allow this process to go instead of preempting something you don't even have idea of? I posted it just yesterday where you've blocked me, if fair enough, where, something you posted last year where you said you were in Chicago on the 18th or 19th of September. But what you posted was actually dated 27th of June. It's more like it was backdated or something like that. But that is within your own right to actually push out what you want to push. At least you're back in Nigeria after 8 years, which is fair enough. It's just a bidding you can actually do. But the reality is, majority of us who are in the camp of Atiku, who have the ears of the man and, speaks to him directly, are not really comfortable with this, your notion of you're speaking for Atiku. You can actually say you are speaking for yourself. Nobody, in Nigeria, there is actually right to what you can say. Nobody picks anybody for anything you say, unless you blackmail someone.
Right.
It will be in your right to actually, retrieve all the statement of you're speaking for Atiku, please. For the sake of Nigerians that are not aware of the reality. Thank you.
Let me get quickly. Let's get a few people. I see I have a few hands on, and I wanted to get it quickly. Don't forget, Mr. Oshoma is going to be giving us a legal perspective of what Atiku is doing in the U.S., what this means, and in respect of what Reno Omokri has also said on the podcast. I see Dr. D. Udo. Dr. Udo, please, in 30 seconds, let's get your view. What is your submission? Your mic is on.
Thank you, Shegun Okengbaliwe, and I want to say good evening to you and good morning wherever you are. Mr. Reno, I've heard what you said. I just want to ask a question and make a point. If you, like you mentioned, schooled in Wolverhampton and you went to California, I also schooled in United Kingdom and many other countries. It is a privacy thing to protect your own academic record. I know that. But if you serve or you want to serve a country and there is doubt about your identity and who you are and your records, don't you think it's proper for you to make available to Nigerians, even though it's your private academic result, but now that you are in public service, just like you go to corporate, what do we call that, corporate body in Nigeria and declare your asset, as long as you come into office, accountability demands that put out everything there for Nigerians to know who you are, so that it will build trust between those you are serving. Okay, I want to ask that question because those that declare their assets in Nigeria, they have a right to hide it as long as they are not in public office. But once you are in public office, you have to let people know what you have so that we can compare it when you leave office. Please, I want to know, do you think it's right? Let's forget about the legal side. Tinubu has raised legal teams, Atiku has rebelled. Let's look at it from morality. Do you think it's right for Tinubu to put out that record there?
All right,
I will just hear them.
Thank you. Let me get. I'll get to, one more person. But I'll come back to Twitter Spaces because I have Mr. Oshoma and I need to get him speaking to us. Let's hear Gerard Bordelon at Batify Gerard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shion. Good evening, everyone. See, my point here is that, number one, I heard someone like Don Santos saying something about age of discrepancies in the date of birth and whatever. As far as I know, I don't believe any certificate anywhere issued in the world, whereby they issue date of birth on a certificate. So I don't know where he's getting that from. And number two, nobody has any right. No, you don't have any right to my personal records anywhere. You have absolutely no right to my personal records. It's my choice. And there's no morality. The morality card is not going to work here. Because it's my choice to show you my personal record or not. It's like you going to the hospital and asking for my medical records. It's not done anywhere in the world. So all that morality card and PC party card is not going to hold water. So these guys are chasing shadows. Let them continue chasing shadows and wasting their time. Their effort is futile. So they keep chasing shadows. Let them keep wasting their time. Thank you very much, Mr. Shion.
Mr. Oshoma, please permit me. Let me take this permission from you to take one more person. SM at Rennie Rodrigue 1142 on Twitter. Are you ready for us? 30 seconds. Please shoot.
All right, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. I will list some things, and I think the lawyer too can testify to all these things if I list them. First, the reason why Atiku was in the US. I don't know what happened at the tribunal, but the witness that he brought to the tribunal that submitted that certificate of Tinubu at the tribunal, maybe Atiku and his lawyer were not aware. But you see that document, that's what they said they got through subpoena, which they submitted at the tribunal, can never be used because it was a public document. In the court of law, before you can submit tender certificate in court and want the court to approve it, it must be certified. So now what Atiku submitted at the tribunal was not certified. So now the only way Atiku can get that document to be verified, he needs to bring a witness from Chicago State University. So firstly, Atiku went to Chicago, went to US July 11. His purpose of going to US was to get a witness from Chicago State University to come and testify. But now Tinubu lawyer went to go and challenge the subpoena that he went to go and get, because the day that he filed the subpoena, there was a discrepancy in the date, like 2 days more than the day supposed to file this thing. So they stopped it. So now, if you look at it, I think it was 2 weeks or some weeks ago, a news came out that Atiku withdrew his case from the US. That case they were talking about, the Atiku withdrawal, was a case of him trying to bring a witness from the US to come and testify in court. So he failed that. So now the only way you can prove that what you are saying is true, you have to bring a copy of the document that is certified. So that's why Atiku is trying every possible way now to get a certified document from the US. That's why this whole drama about want to get a certificate now. We need to get a certified one from the US. That's what's going on right now.
Okay, let me get a professional view from Mr. Oshoma, who is ready to speak with us. Thank you so much, Liberals, for joining us. Give us your perspective, first and foremost. I'd like to know, because, straightforward, can anything done in the U.S. affect what is going on at the tribunal in Nigeria?
Shehu, you see, the background to all of this is that I think people should first and foremost understand that when people say that we need to overhaul or change our constitution, it's a big thing that we really need to pay serious attention to. I think section 315 or so spells out the requirement for occupying the office of the president and governor. That a school certificate or its equivalent. And I think Section 318 interprets its equivalent to mean if you can read and write in the opinion of INEC. So that is why you see that most of our politicians that claim that they attended one school here, attended another school there, but when you go to their INEC declaration form, they sometimes put primary school leaving certificate or just put a certificate there just to show that they can read and write. Until we undo that one, we'll continue to have all of these, issues where, politicians are not ready to truly declare their records because, the law already protects them. That said, also, like the last caller rightly stated, when you tender a document, a public document that is not certified by the issuer, there is the evidential value to be placed on that document to be very low. So you will need to either bring the issuer to tender that document or you bring a certified true copy from the issuing authority. So in the absence of that, then you have problem. And we also know that for election petition matter, we lawyers will say they are sui generis. And once documents are filed and once petitions are filed and depositions are made, that it will take exceptional circumstances for the court to allow you to amend your pleadings or to, plead for that document because also of time. I also would have thought that, the team of lawyers, we give, so much credit to our lawyers here, even when they do nonsense. The team of lawyers, knowing fully where you have a whole enough time to prepare your petition, your defense, whether you think you're going to win or not, you have plan A and plan B. In the event that I do not win, I know that I'm going to go to the tribunal. I need to begin to gather my evidence. So the issue of certificate had been on consistently long before now. So one would have expected, the issue of the certificate have been on before now, consistently. One would have expected that these lawyers would have tidied up all their ends in Nigeria in collaboration with their counterparts, overseas. But unfortunately, midway into the river, that is when they now begin to run helter-skelter, trying to, put their documents together. And that's why it's almost, some people will say, it's almost as if, oh no, you are fishing for what's not there. Or some others will say, it's a game plan. Let us wait to see the outcome of the game plan. But really, I think that the Nigerian lawyers did not do a very tidy job before they approached the tribunal.
So, I hate to, because I'm a lawyer in training, so I know what it means when a case is in court and there are expectations. I was going to ask you a question which would have to drag you into the fray of what is happening in the tribunal, because based on what Omokri said, he said, look, he doesn't think, he inferred that there might be an appeal to this matter, which means things might not go exactly in the way of those who have taken the case to court, the petitioners. But what's your own view from what you've seen so far?
If we are discussing the fact of the case, I'll be very free to discuss the fact of the case. But to discuss the matter in a manner that would prejudge or prejudice the mind of the court, as a lawyer in training, I'm barred from doing that. Certainly, but I will tell you certainly that either way, there certainly would be an appeal. There is no presidential election petition matter that had ended at the court of first instance. It will always end, at the final court, which is, in this case, is the Supreme Court. So certainly, whoever wins at the court of appeal will definitely approach the court of appeal. So we are just saying the dress rehearsal. So what all parties are basically trying to do now is to see how much they can put in, before they get to the Supreme Court. But unfortunately, the matter had been adjourned for judgment. So whether these documents that they are talking about now, whether they will be able to bring in those documents at the Supreme Court, it's a different matter altogether. Those ones are the technical areas that the lawyers will deal with. But like we say, no matter how difficult it is, you always want to challenge the law. And so I think what the lawyer simply would want to do would be to challenge the positions of the law and see how you can either bend or penetrate the jurisprudence of the Electoral Act. So whatever it is going to be, a novel area to deal with, and it's going to be very, very funny. But I must also quickly say something here on the issue of morality, transparency, constitutionality. I gave you an instance with the provisions of the law. One would have expected that optics, you say you want to rule Nigeria, you want to govern Nigeria, that you say, here are my hands, I am clean, this is the way I am, optics, morally. But the law, a situation where the law shades you, and the law says, you can do this, you can do that. So most politicians, certainly because they understand themselves, will always want to hide under and leave out moral, will always want to hide under the positions of the law. When John McCain contested for, I think Ronald Reagan, yes, it was Ronald Reagan, he knew that it was his age, he knew that his medical fitness was going to be an issue and that his opponents were going to use his medical records to campaign. He made his medical record public. The moment he published them, that took away the issue, from the campaign. I think John McCain did the same thing. I really can't remember now. But for Trump, it was during Trump that we know that your tax status as a candidate in America was not sacrosanct that it must be made public. So I think the man hid under the law. We saw them practice the kind of, politics that Africans would generally practice. And Americans started telling us, show me where it is written that the man must declare his tax status. I think that is also what is playing out here. The APC people will tell you, show me where it is in the law. The opposition will say morality determines. But I think that, moving forward in Nigeria, we should amend our laws to enhance more transparency.
So talk to us about this Bola Tinubu and Atiku legal fiasco in legal showdown, if I may use another adjective to describe what is going on in the United States. To what end do you think Atiku is up to with this matter?
Let's first and foremost understand the issue of subpoena. Lawyers do not subpoena. Lawyers only request the court to subpoena. You make a request. To the court, and it is the court that now subpoena. So people should understand that. Because I hear people say the lawyer subpoena. When they say that, what it means is that the lawyer will apply to the court that a subpoena be issued against a particular witness to come testify. So when that happens, it is a court that is actually subpoenaing that witness. So when there is, and also when there are deposition and questions are raised in the deposition, the other party also have a right to respond to those depositions. And in responding, that does not mean that this deposition, in the course of requesting for a subpoena, that does not mean that this disposition made in the request, that does not mean that, this is the lawyer, subpoenaing the other party. I need people to understand that. Then, on the issue of the request for whether the man attended Chicago State University or not, before now, around that 1999, there were issues around, the man did not attend and he attended, and So, but eventually, in the course of time, there were records to show that the Bola Tinubu actually attended the said university. But that said, I wouldn't know, because of the discrepancies. Because also I must also say that in Ada's case, I can't remember the other party now. The Supreme Court did rule that the issue of forgery is very fundamental to the validity of the nomination of a candidate. The question is not whether you forged, the document that you tendered, but that whether you have forged any document at all in your presentation to INEC. And so I think also maybe Atiku's team might want to, obtain those documents from Chicago, the record, to confront other documents that Bola Tinubu might have tendered before. But how well, whether they can do that at this stage, that the matter has been adjourned for judgment, is a different ballgame altogether. That I will not be able to say. That is left for his lawyers and the game plan that they certainly have. And then also you probably might be looking at it from the moral angle. That's okay, we want to expose the fact that this person that you're calling your president, does not have, the integrity to truly be called, so-called, or that he has a moral baggage on him. So that might just be their game plan. But I think we should elevate, our laws and our election to a situation where we don't have to now begin to rely on courts in America, rely on courts in the UK, before we determine the validity of candidates here. But I also must quickly say, because I must say this, I always hear Reno mention America, mention the UK. Reno is my friend. Reno schooled in Ekpoma with me, and we were mates at the law school. So my friend and brother, he should also call Ekpoma. Like, I'm very proud to say I schooled in Ekpoma. I should also do us proud.
Let me Google.
Also went to Ekpoma.
Can I Google? Can you spell Ekpoma? Let me Google it. Maybe that's a joke.
Yes, that's an answer.
If you finish from Ekpoma, you're a good product of Ekpoma. So even
Tony Lumelu schooled in Ekpoma. He read economics in Ekpoma. So I have big names that schooled in Ekpoma. I'm proud to say I schooled in Ekpoma. Reno schooled in read law in Ekpoma. Well, met in law school. So
wow, interesting.
Because he's somebody I've known for a long time, man.
Only that Ekpoma has not really come up on Google search as much as one would think the other schools that Reno mentioned had come up on Google.
That's
search.
why we are saying that they should also put us. It should also put us on Google search.
You people are not on the map, so you need to do more to be able to. On a final note, Mr. Oshoma, give me, if you were Bola Tinubu, and people are raising a lot of dust about your academic records, what would you do?
I'm not Bola Tinubu, but I do not know the mind of politicians. I do not know how they think. But these things are simple. They are very simple. The law requires you to read and write in the opinion of INEC. That's the position of the law. We have not changed that. And so if people say you didn't attend Chicago State University and you believe that you attended Chicago State University, it's simple that all you just need to do is to come out and make the information public. You just make this information public, grant them access to the information and say, look, I attended this school, these are my classmates, these are the grades, and all of that. Sorry, Nigeria has happened to me in the course of the interview. So,
Are you in Ekpoma?
No, unfortunately, I'm in Lagos. So, in a few minutes, my light will be on, and then, So, but that, it is what it is. Nigeria has happened to me. So, if I were him, all I will do, it has been established that he attended university, except there are so many things that, we do not know. But I really do not see any need for all of this hide and seek. Or maybe like politicians do. You want to keep your opponent busy. You just keep him busy, until he's exhausted. Just like Muhammad Ali, when he knows he can knock you out at round 1, he keeps you busy, until maybe round 10. And then when he weighs you out, he gives you the final knockout. That might also be his game plan. But I really do not know. But whatever it's giving him, mention consistently, to a negative mention. But politicians will say any news is news. But for me, somebody like me, negative news consistently is not too good for me. And if I were in his shoes, I will not allow the negative news to fly too long.
Thank you, Mr. Oshoma. Let me see if I can take maybe 3 persons on Twitter Spaces. Let's get your view so that we can call it a day on these podcasts today. So I think we have Stardust6_66. Your mic is on. You can shoot straight and just take 30 seconds. Let's get your view.
Okay, good evening, Seun, and good evening, Nigerians. I want to ask Reno Omokri some questions. Now that he has said, let me use the word claims, that Bola Ahmed Tinubu actually went to the Chicago State University, what precisely is Atiku looking for? Then secondly, I just need a clarification from the lawyers. The case has been on, and I don't think there's any evidence of anything wrong from Chicago State University so far. Should the tribunal pass their judgment, and then whoever it goes against appeals, if there are new evidences, maybe from that place, can they be admitted in the higher courts? I just need clarifications on this. And then, of course,
I don't know if Liberals is still there. If you can just...
Yes, I'm here.
Can you quickly respond to that? If anything emerges from... I'm not sure it can affect... They've done their final written addresses, had a election tribunal, but maybe it will affect when they go upstairs. But give us your view professionally.
Yeah, if there's any new evidence that, like you meant, first and foremost, the matter, like I said, election petition matters are different from the normal civil matters and the criminal matters, where you can, even before judgment, you can apply to reopen your case and then maybe plead further documents that just came to your notice that did not come to the notice of the court before. In civil matters, even before judgment is delivered, you can apply to reopen your case, and and then the other party is given opportunity to cross-examine and address, the court on those issues. But for election petition, like I have said, for election petition, the cases I have handled, even amendment, the court is usually very strict on amendments. Okay, let me give you an instance, practical. You remember the Rochas Okorocha's case? Rochas Okorocha's case, where the INEC returning officer said that it was held at gunpoint to make a declaration. And in the course of the tribunal, the legal officer in Imo State deposed to a declaration that the election was fair and fair. Meanwhile, the INEC in Abuja disagreed with that position. So when we got to court, the lawyer attempted to change that deposition, and the court refused, that you cannot, that the time for amending at the preliminary stage, at pretrial stage, had passed all the applications that were supposed to be taken. So in this case, that's why I said that for the lawyers at the tribunal, I think that they ought to have tidied up their entire case, especially when you hinge your case on qualification. You should have tidied up that case, even while elections were going on, so that you just have 21 days within which to file, so that all your arsenal would have been, in shape. So when you get to court one, you hit the ground running. How they want to now bring this further document for me, I do not know. It's a game that we will continue to watch unfold. Law is dynamic; it changes every day, and so maybe when the court ruled on that and that we can allow it, then it becomes a further window for us at further election commission tribunals.
Let me quickly take Richard Tayo at Richard Tayo on Twitter. Can we get your view just in 30 seconds? Your intervention.
All right, thank you, Shiu. I greet everyone here. Somebody made a point a while ago. I think Reno has never spoken like he was speaking on behalf of Atiku. There was an Atiku man that said Reno shouldn't talk like that Reno speaks as if he's speaking on behalf of Atiku. He has always said Waziri Atiku is his friend. Yes, but he never spoke like he was speaking on behalf of Atiku. Then when it comes to the issue of Reno and
Rufai.
I think we're losing you, Richard. Okay, I think maybe we should get at Fact NIG. Seems Tayo's connection is bad.
Good evening, Shane. My name is Olatunde. I would like to talk on the subject, and because we have heard from Mr. Reno, so we're going to basically comment on some of the things he says. First of all, talking about the certificate saga, I don't think what Atiku Abubakar is doing is a wrong thing. Reno says the university have the right to, everybody have the right to their privacy. Immediately, you bring yourself out for election and he wants to contest for an office, and that is it. And the Asiwaju certificate saga really has to be questioned, because when there is discrepancy in what you submit, you need to answer the question of that discrepancy. And I think that is what everybody is talking about. If there is, because this is a man that has issue with his primary, with his secondary, people can't really tell exactly what is going on regarding that. And now we are talking about the university he goes to. The one he presented was inaccurate in a way. So you have to look for details to understand exactly what's going on. I'm talking about Reno, and let me quickly chip in between Reno and Mr. Hussein Rufai, because that issue also came up, and we need to also talk. We that dwell well on the internet understand what's going on. I don't think unless Mr. Hussein wants to take it out personally with Mr. Reno, I don't think he had anything to respond to, because Mr. Reno is an internet person. He makes money on internet. He said it several times that all the criticism he's doing, he criticizes Peter Obi, that that makes money for him. So Reno will always find a case to bring up so that people will engage in his page and all that, and that will make money for him. Mr. Hussein is known for his professionality in his duty and all of that. So I don't think the journalist bringing himself down to somebody who is an internet person to I just think they should just ignore him, whatever he's saying, talking about bribe or something. But if he feels that he had been indicted in a way, I think he should just take it up with him personally in the court of law. So that's my own contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me see if I can take maybe one more person before we then call it a day. I see that Asko Babalola at Ekiti Oracle. Are you there? All right. I think Gerard Bodilon is spoken today. Dos Santos is spoken today. Well, I think it's an opportunity for us to just call it a day. It's been some conversation tonight on the podcast. Quite a show it's been. Mr. Reno Omokri said he cited the yearbook with President Tinubu's picture in it in Chicago State University. But is that enough? Those are some of the questions that have been raised tonight on this podcast. There are also counter arguments on the issues of morality and whether the documents in question should be released. Before I finally call it a wrap, let me get Mr. Liberus Oshoma's final thought.
My final thought on this is the fact that I think also there's need for Rufai truly. Let's not just wish away these things to say their internet, Reno makes money from the internet. Rufai also is my friend. I've known Rufai from childhood, right from his days in Delta State Company. So these two people, I practically know two of them. So, but I would not want, I don't know those personal issues, but I think also there's need for Rufai to also respond to these allegations. If possible, come on your Twitter space also, because these are grave allegations that, I think we shouldn't just say because Reno makes money on Twitter or on social media, so Rufai should just, gloss over them. No, these are reputational things. Impinging on somebody's professional, competence. It's something that we shouldn't just allow to go. But then lastly, on this, I think that Nigerians, we should demand more from our lawmakers to open up the space for our law to enhance transparency so that whoever wants to govern us will not have any law to hide under, especially when it has to do with credentials, age, and technical competence and health issues. All of these, should with this experience, we should, ensure that we put pressure on our lawmakers to amend our law so that we can have it, more open and then have, a more transparent, personnel occupying our offices. I can tell you that starting from the local government to state governors, to ministers, to senators, House of Rep, House of Assembly